This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the headlines. Rivers Assembly lists reasons for impeachment proceedings against Fubara. Tinubu commends NGX 100 trillion naira milestone. ADC unveils Constitution Review Committee. EFCC condemns campaigns of calumny. NLC urges government to review wages, tax policies. China commends U.S. exit from UN entities. 4 Super Eagles stars listed among top 10 best players. Adekole Gold, semi-welcome twin babies. Rivers State House of Assembly has given reasons for the ongoing impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The majority leader of the Assembly, Major Jack, said the decision to impeach the governor and his deputy was based on their alleged persistent violation of the peace agreement brokered by President Bola Tinubu. Jack made the allegation during plenary on Thursday while presenting a report detailing acts of misconduct against the governor and his deputy who had repeatedly disregarded the resolutions reached during reconciliation efforts aimed at restoring stability in the state. He accused the two leaders of running the affairs of government without commitment to transparency and good governance, and further alleged that the peace deals facilitated by President Tinubu were breached on several occasions, including agreements reached during reconciliation meetings held in December 2023 and another in 2025. Jack insisted that the continued failure of the governor and his deputy to honor the terms of the peace accord necessitated the impeachment process currently before the Assembly. According to the Rivers State House of Assembly, allegations of gross misconduct include reckless and unconstitutional expenditure of public funds, unconstitutional misappropriation of public funds, hindering Rivers State House of Assembly from performing their constitutional duties, and illegal appointments of persons without allowing for screening by the House of Assembly as provided by the Constitution. Other allegations are the seizure of salaries and funds meant for Assembly members, seizure of salaries of the clerk of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Emeka Amadi, and refusal to implement provisions of the Constitution on financial autonomy of the legislature and the judiciary, as well as withholding of funds meant for the running of the Rivers State House of Assembly Service Commission and hindering its activities. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has commended President Bola Tinubu and the Minister of Works, David Umahi, on the completion of the Bodo-Boni Road, describing the project as a long-standing dream that it is achievable. Wike spoke on Thursday during his thank you tour of Boni local government area of Rivers State and described the road as a political project that had been promised by successive administrators without results, stressing that the Tinubu-led government delivered it without pressure. The minister also recalled the challenges previously associated with accessing Boni, particularly during political campaigns, adding that the road project, measuring 37.9 kilometers, was temporarily opened by President Tinubu on December 8, 2025, with the directive banning night travel on heavy-duty vehicles pending its final completion in the first quarter of 2026. Tinubu spoke through Umahi at the ceremony, described the project as a flagship achievement of his renewed hope agenda. Cross River State Governor Basi Otu has inaugurated the 196 rural development officers recently appointed by his administration to drive the federal government's renewed Hope World Development Program in the state. The event, which was held at the University of Calabar Senate Chambers, attracted all the appointees, their family members and well-wishers, while the governor urged them to be worthy ambassadors of his administration at the ward level. Represented by state coordinators, Dr. Prince Michael Nkuabo Otu said, in view of the opera that greeted the appointment, so much I expected from the appointees to justify the confidence reposed in them, and also reminded the appointees that their appointments were sacred and are expected to ensure the replication of every developmental initiative right from the national and the state levels to the ward level. The governor further said, aside the responsibilities of monitoring the implementation of the Renewed Hope Ward Development Program in the state, the appointees were also expected to work in partnership with critical stakeholders to ensure peace in their respective domains. Abia State Governor Alex Oti has inspected the ongoing construction of the Umuahia Central Bus Terminal, expressing satisfaction with the quality and pace of work as the project approaches completion. A statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Abia State, Njoku Okohia, said the governor inspected the project as part of a broader tour of infrastructure projects being executed by his administration across the state. Speaking to journalists at the site, Oti said the decision to construct the central bus terminal was aimed at addressing the inefficiencies caused by multiple scattered transport parks within the city, adding that centralizing transport infrastructure was a global best practice that would enhance orderliness and improve commuters' experience. The governor commended the consultants and contractors handling the project, adding that the standard of work met his administration's expectations, and also expressed optimism that the project would be substantially completed before the end of January. Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Lagos State has urged eligible residents to take part in the second phase of the ongoing continuous voters registration (CVR) exercise. A statement issued on Thursday by the Resident Electoral Commissioner (REC) for Lagos State, Ayobami Shalami, said INEC recently concluded the first phase of the nationwide voter registration, which commenced on August 18, 2025 and ended on December 10, 2025, and encouraged Lagos residents who are yet to register to utilize the second phase of the exercise, which began on January 5, 2026 and is currently taking place across all local government areas as well as at INEC state headquarters. He said the commission remains committed to increasing voter participation, adding that the eligibility requirement and registration timeline remain unchanged, stressing that INEC personnel are fully prepared to ensure the exercise runs smoothly and transparently, while expressing concern over the relatively low turnouts recorded so far. He also said the second phase of the CVR will continue until April 17, 2026, and warned that any form of disorder or misconduct at registration centers will not be tolerated, while the third phase of the continuous voter registration is scheduled to commence on May 4 and will run until August 17, 2026 in preparation for the 2027 general elections. Operatives of the Lagos State Police Command have arrested a 35-year-old woman, Modupola Bamishede, for allegedly defrauding over 100 unsuspecting victims of more than 500 million naira through an online gadget scam. This is coming after the suspect, who specialized in the sale of iPhones, iPads and other Apple products, advertised at a 50% discount to lure customers online, and Bamishade used social media influencers to promote her supposed sales, attracting buyers who paid for the gadgets but never received them. The police allege that the suspect thereafter resorted to giving several excuses to delay or completely avoid delivery, while the police source privy to the incident said her arrest followed a report by one of the influencers who became suspicious after complaints from customers. The source also said the victims visited the command to identify her, having learned that she was arrested, and security operatives have reportedly advised the public to verify sellers before making payments, adding that on October 25 that the Ogun State Police Command cautioned residents against the increasing cases of online fraud, including fake dating platforms, travel and visa scams, and other deceptive schemes designed to defraud unsuspecting victims. 2 people are confirmed dead after rival court clash in Jato Aka, Kwanda local government area of Benue State. The Benue State Police Command spokesperson DSP Odame Edet, who disclosed this to journalists in Makurdi on Thursday, said the violent clash was between red and black court groups, and several members of the rival courts were reported to have sustained varying degrees of injuries during the clash. Edet added that during the operation, 8 suspects were arrested in connection with the incident, while a suspected bandit was on Wednesday killed in a gun duel with policemen who foiled a kidnap attempt on a hotelier in Zaki Bayam, Ukum local government area of the state. The police public relations officer listed items recovered from the 2 operations, including 1 locally fabricated pistol, 1 expanded cartridge, 2 axes and 2 machetes, as well as 1 locally fabricated Beretta pistol, 2 rounds of live 9mm ammunition, and 1 bag containing charms. The Commissioner of Police, Ifeanyi Emenari, have reassured residents of the state of the command's unwavering commitment to safeguarding lives and property, and also encouraged members of the public to continue to support the police with timely and credible information that could aid crime prevention and detection. Suspected armed herders have killed 5 farmers in the Udeku Mav Yard community in the Mbakyo Council Ward, Turan district of the Kwande local government area, Benue State. When conducted, the chairman of Kwande local government area, Teswa Yakwan, confirmed the killings of the 5 persons and described the area as a vulnerable border local government that shares an international boundary with Cameroon. Lamenting that the terrain complicates security operations, the chairman said the continued attacks during harvest season threaten food security. Also confirmed the incident, the former supervisory councillor in the local government, Akerigba Lawrence, decried the constant assault on the community, adding that schools, churches, and markets have been forced to shut down following repeated attacks. Efforts to get comments from the State Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Udeme Edet, were not successful. Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says the circumstances surrounding its refusal to issue access codes to Labour Party LP was for uploading of candidates for the Federal Capital Territory FCT area council election, insisting that there was currently no valid court order compelling it to do so. An election is scheduled for Saturday, February 21, 2026. A statement issued and signed yesterday by the Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Mrs. Victoria Eta Messi. The Commission said the explanation followed a protest by some Labour Party supporters at INEC headquarters in Abuja on Monday, January 5, 2026. INEC said the controversy was rooted in Labour Party's prolonged internal leadership crisis, noting that Labour Party had been enmeshed in prolonged internal leadership disputes since 2024, which culminated in the judgment of the Supreme Court in appeal delivered on 4th April 2025. According to the Commission, the Supreme Court unequivocally held that the tenure of the barrister Julius Abure-led National Executive Committee had expired, and despite the Apex Court's decision, INEC said the Abure-led faction purportedly conducted primaries for the August 16, 2025 by-election nationwide and the FCT area council election, a development that led to legal confrontations between the party and the electoral body. INEC further said the party subsequently filed multiple suits in different courts, all seeking orders compelling the Commission to grant access codes for the upload of candidates for the FCT area council election. Bauchi State Police Command has arrested a 28-year-old man, Bafaji Abba, for alleged rape of his neighbor's 8-year-old daughter in Alkaleri local government area. The incident was reported on December 31, 2025 by the victim's father, Bafaji Mohammed, at the Divisional Police Headquarters in Alkaleri, and on receipt of the report, a team of detectives led by CSP Kadiri Danjuma, DPO Alkaleri, swiftly visited the scene, moved the victim to the General Hospital Alkaleri for immediate medical attention, and arrested the suspect. During interrogation, the suspect willingly confessed to the crime. According to a statement by the command spokesperson, SP Nafiu Habib, the suspect, who lives at the same address with the victim, allegedly lured the child into a bathroom and sexually assaulted her multiple times against her will. Meanwhile, the State Commissioner of Police, CP Sani Omolori Ali, who has directed the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the State's Criminal Investigation Department, SCID, to carry out a discreet and thorough investigation into the matter. The suspect will be profiled and subsequently charged to court for the confirmed offences. Jigawa State Government has suspended contractors involved in the state school feeding program following allegations of fraud and poor service delivery. The State Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and Special Duties, Honorable Awal D. Sankara, who disclosed this during inspection to some schools in Duse local government, said the inspection was part of government efforts to ensure accountability and protect students' welfare. According to him, the monitoring team discovered irregularities, including inflated student population figures, supply of substandard food items, and incomplete food deliveries to boarding schools, stressing that the food is not safe for students' consumption, leading to the immediate suspension of the contractor Jibrin Maifata. This is coming after the government commercial secondary school, Duse, a consignment of rice supplied to the school was rejected for failing to meet required standards, and The commissioner subsequently dismissed the chairman of the school feeding contractors Alhaji Sule Zai over the incident. Similarly, 3 contractors, Kamalu Suleiman, Alhaji Abdullahi Abanderi, and Alhaji Umaru Chamo, were suspended at the School for Arabic and Islamic Studies to say for delivering incomplete food supplies to students, and the actions were in line with Governor Omar A. Namadi's 12-point agenda and the administration's commitment to transparency and accountability in public programs. He warned that any individual found diverting resources meant for students' feeding and welfare would be prosecuted, and the inspections would continue across the states to ensure value for public funds and adherence to standards in all social intervention programs. President Bola Tinubu has celebrated the Nigerian Exchange Group's breakthrough into the 100 trillion naira market capitalization threshold, saying Nigeria has moved from an ignored frontier market to a compelling investment destination. A statement signed by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, urged Nigerians to increase their investment in the domestic economy, expressing confidence that 2026 will deliver stronger returns as ongoing reforms take firmer root, adding that the NGX closed 2025 with a 51.19% return, outperforming global indices such as the S&P 500 and FTSE 100, as well as several BRICS Plus emerging markets, after recording 37.65% in 2024. The president said the more indigenous energy firms, technology companies, telecoms operators, and infrastructure firms are preparing to list on the exchange, a move he said would deepen market capitalization and broaden economic participation. Tinubu also described as a sustained decline in inflation over 8 months from 34.8% in December 2024 to 14.45% in November 2025, projecting that the rate would fall below 10% before the end of 2026, and further attributed the trend to monetary tightening, elimination of ways and means financing, and agricultural investment, which he said helped stabilize the naira and ease post-reform pressures. Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral E.D. Abbas has pledged to combat maritime crimes to ensure the safety and security of the country's maritime environment. He disclosed this on Thursday during an operational visit to inspect facilities at the Nigerian Navy Reference Hospital and other projects in Calabar, the capital of Cross River State, stressing that the Nigerian Navy is committed to making Nigeria's waters safe and secure. Speaking on this operational visit to Calabar, Abbas expressed satisfaction with the facilities and operational gains made by the Navy in recent weeks, adding that the Navy's mandate is maritime security, and he is assessing the service's operational capabilities to identify critical challenges and prioritize areas requiring attention. The national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, David Mark, has inaugurated Etigwe Uwa San as chairman of the party's Constitution Review Committee, aimed at strengthening internal democracy and reinforcing the party's guiding principles. While inaugurating the committee on Thursday in Abuja, Mark charged its members to develop a framework that promotes inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability, while staying true to the party's founding ideals, adding that in July 2005, the ADC was chosen as the coalition party for opposition leaders, aiming to challenge President Bola Tinubu in 2027. Since then, with former Senate President Mark as national chairman and former Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola as national secretary, the party has been strengthening its nationwide structures and striving to gain the confidence of Nigerians. The former Senate President said a party's constitution serves as both its moral guide and legal foundation, and it shapes the party's ideology, directs conduct, regulates internal operations, and protects internal democracy, adding that as the party continues to expand in reach and responsibility, it is both necessary and timely to review our constitution to ensure that it reflects present realities, anticipates future challenges, and aligns with global best practices in democratic party administration. He also said the committee will review the ADC constitution to update and clarify it by ensuring alignment with global best practices in democratic governance and party administration, stressing that the committee is required to present an interim report along with proposed amendments to the National Working Committee within 30 days, while in his response, the committee chairman expressed a strong commitment to conducting a comprehensive and inclusive process. All Progressives Congress APC has dismissed claims by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar that Nigeria's democracy is under threat, describing them as alarmist and ironic. This is coming after Atiku Abubakar, through his spokesman, Paul Ibe, accused the Tinubu administration of deliberately weakening the opposition parties and shrinking Nigeria's democratic space, warning that this could lead to a de facto one-party state. He also alleged that Nigerians have endured nearly 3 years of severe economic hardship under the Tinubu-led government, alongside policies and actions that, in his view, undermine democratic values. In response, Lagos State APC spokesman Shaye Oladejo, in a statement on Thursday, said the former vice president and his African Democratic Congress ADC party were afraid of their own shadows, adding that democratic institutions were functioning normally under President Tinubu, and urged the opposition to stop seeking relevance by predicting the collapse of a democracy that has continued to mature despite their constant doomsday prophecies. Oladejo further argued that the ADC is increasingly vulnerable due to internal contradictions and inherent deceit, and further described the coalition as a fragile group whose primary ambition is the presidency, with leaders nursing private entitlement while threatening upheaval should their ambitions be denied. He also affirmed the resilience of Nigeria's democracy under President Bola Tinubu, highlighting those ongoing reforms though demanding are rooted in the Constitution, rule of law, and democratic accountability principles that cannot be undone by those who have lost the confidence of Nigerians. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has condemned planned campaigns of calumny by some politicians and groups, as well as suspects facing prosecution by the Commission. Dele Oyewale, EFCC spokesperson, said in a statement on Thursday in Abuja that a motley crowd of paid jobbers has been recruited by some disgruntled elements to orchestrate campaigns of calumny through sponsored media attacks. The EFCC spokesman said the essence was to make the commission afraid of investigating opposition politicians for fear of being labeled partisan, stressing that the campaign was likely to intensify as the political space becomes charged in the months leading to the 2027 general election. Oyewale said any political actor, whether in the ruling party or opposition party with corruption baggage, has no hiding place from the operational radar and dynamics of the Commission, adding that the Commission is keeping faith with its Establishment Act in all its operations. And now to some business news. Nigeria Labour Congress has called on the federal government to urgently address workers' wages and review regressive tax policies, warning that continued delays and uneven compliance could deepen economic hardship for millions of Nigerians. The appeal was made by the president of the NLC, Joe Ajeru, during the 85th birthday celebration and book launch of the union's founding president, Hassan Sumonu, OON, at the Shehu Musa Yaradua Auditorium in Abuja. Speaking to a gathering that included family members, government officials, and members of the press, Ajeru described Sumonu as a titan of the working class struggle whose life and work have inspired generations of Nigerian workers. He recalled last year's inauguration of the Hassan Sumonu Center for Leadership and Governance in Lagos, which he said reaffirmed the union's commitment to honoring the legacy of the founding president. Honoring Comrade Sumonu is honoring the collective struggle of the Nigerian working class. Comrade Joe Ajeru also said the NLC is monitoring violations and will take renewed enforcement actions and legal steps, warning that continued delays threaten workers' welfare and amid rising living costs. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil Heineken Lekbobri, has urged the new chief executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission Authority, Saidu Aliyu Mohammed, to prioritize ending the recurring tanker explosions across the country. A statement by Lekbobri said he disclosed this during a familiarization visit to Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission Authority, adding that the essence of downstream sector deregulation by President Bola Tinubu is to allow businesses to thrive, strengthen the sector, and expand national oil prosperity. He said regulatory agencies would ultimately be judged by the number of businesses they enable rather than the number of regulations they implement, saying the sustainability of the economy depends on more vibrant, compliant businesses. He also highlighted the need to swiftly address major concerns, starting with the recurring tanker explosions, and further assured that the ministry will continue to collaborate with the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to ensure an uninterrupted petrol supply nationwide, and commended the new ACE and urged him to bring his best as the country's energy landscape is transformed. And now to some international tidbits. U.S. has suspended all assistance to the government of Somalia, alleging that officials destroyed a UN World Food Programme warehouse and seized donor-funded food aid. U.S. State Department statement on X said the Trump administration has a zero-tolerance policy for waste, theft, and diversion of life-saving assistance, adding that any resumption of assistance will depend on the Somali government taking accountability for its unacceptable actions and taking appropriate remedial steps. Although the U.S. has withdrawn from several UN organizations under President Donald Trump, it remains by far the largest contributor to the UN World Food Program, WFP, paying $2 billion in 2025 as a third of its total funding. This is coming after the Somali government, which has long been battling Al-Qaeda-linked Islamist militants, as it tries to rebuild the country after a devastating civil war and years of drought. It is the latest example of the deteriorating relations between Washington and Mogadishu. In November, U.S. President Donald Trump lashed out at Somali migrants living in the U.S., telling reporters they should go back to where they came from and their country is no good for a reason, and communities have been targeted in immigration raids as the government alleges large-scale benefit fraud in Minnesota, the U.S. state with the largest Somali community in the U.S. China says the United States' decision to withdraw from United Nations bodies and other entities was proof that the international landscape was witnessing an effective operation of the multilateral system. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said only such a system can stop the law of the jungle from prevailing and stop the might is right approach from dominating the international order. This is coming after President Donald Trump said after a review his administration had determined that remaining a member of 66 international organizations no longer serves American interests, while China restated its support for multilateralism, and the UN's role in international affairs, vowing to work with the international community to build a more just and equitable global governance system. Commenting on the United States seizure of the Russian-flagged oil tanker linked to Venezuela, Ming argued that the arbitrary action seriously violated international law. The spokesperson expressed China's opposition to unilateral illicit sanctions that lack justification in international law or authorization of the UN Security Council, and further cautioned against any move that violates the purposes and principles of the UN Charter and infringes upon other countries' sovereignty and security. And here now is ATN Sports News. Eric Chell has marked his one-year anniversary in charge of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The man was appointed Super Eagles head coach on January 7, 2025. Chell's appointment divided opinion among the Super Eagles faithfuls, but he has steadily won over some of his critics, especially with his team's impressive displays at the ongoing 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Under the 48-year-old tutelage, the Super Eagles have suffered just one defeat in 16 games, with 10 wins and 5 draws, while the West Africans have also scored 34 goals and conceded 15. Chell will look to guide the Super Eagles to another win when they take on the Desert Foxes of Algeria in the quarterfinals of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations on Saturday. 4 Super Eagles stars, Ademola Lookman and Victor Osimhen, Akor Adams, and Wilfred Ndidi have been rated among the top 10 best players at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations AFCON tournament in Morocco so far. This comes ahead of the AFCON quarterfinal stage fixture starting from Friday, and Lookman currently tops the AFCON best players ratings chart with an impressive score of 8.81. The Atalanta forward is ahead of second position Egypt's captain Mohamed Salah, who has a rating of 8.23. While in third place is Senegal forward Sadio Mane, who has a 7.82 rating, and Nigeria's striker Osimhen ranks fourth on 7.61. In fifth place is another Nigeria's Adams, who has a 7.59 rating, while Nigeria captain Ndidi is in sixth place with the same rating as Adams, completing the remaining top 10 of Ivory Coast's Yan Diomande in seventh position on 7.58 rating, followed by Algeria captain Riyad Mahrez in eighth position on 7.55 rating. Ivory Coast Ahmad Dallo is in 9th place with a 7.54 rating, and finally Morocco's Brahim Diaz on 10th place position with a 7.54 rating, also like Diallo. And now entertainment news. Popular Nigerian music stars Adekunle Kosoko, widely known as Adekunle Gold, and his wife Simi have become parents again, this time to twins. The award-winning singer shared the joyful update while confirming the expansion of their family, and news sparked an outpouring of warm wishes from admirers, fellow celebrities, and industry colleagues. This is coming after a clip showed her with a growing baby bump, fueling anticipation that another child was on the way. Adekunle Gold and Simi, who tied the knot in 2019 after a long history of friendship and musical synergy, remain one of Nigeria's most admired entertainment power couples, and both artists were once signed to X3M Music before soaring into mainstream acclaim. The pair welcomed their first child, Adejare Kosoko, fondly known as Deja, in May 2020. Renowned author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and her husband Dr. Ibara Esege have lost one of their twin sons, Nkanu Nnamdi. According to a statement issued on Thursday by Omawumi Ogbe on behalf of the family, the 21-month-old baby died on Wednesday, January 7, 2026, after a brief illness. The statement said the family is devastated by the loss and requested that their privacy be respected during this difficult time. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, and a look at the major stories. Rivers Assembly lists reasons for impeachment proceedings against Fubara. Tinubu comments NGX 100 trillion naira milestone. ADC unveils Constitution Review Committee. EFCC condemns campaigns of calumny. NLC urges government to review wages tax policies. China commends US exit from UN entities. 4 Super Eagles stars listed among top 10 best players. And Adekole Gold, Simi, welcome to Twin Babies. I am Favor. Chikwes Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on social media platforms on X now, on Twitter now X at Atlantic TV Net, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, and on Instagram at Atlantic TV Net. And don't forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. To have a wonderful night rest.